and so I would just sleep over the house, and so I got to know everybody, and I just really wanted, I just loved the community that they had created, and I wanted to be a part of it. And I'm not much of a rapper, but you know, it's like, well, what can I contribute to this community? And then after a year and a half, it was this, you know, I think there's a better way to tell this story that really can reflect their voices and their complexity. And so it's like, let's try to make this into a short documentary. And in December 2007, we had a version, but it wasn't quite there. 2008, you know, Obama's running for election. I thought it'd be interesting to capture that from their point of view. You know, 4 years later, he's getting reelected. I thought that was going to be the bookends of the film. And then in 2013, and we were actually editing in 2012. And then in 2013, something happened. You know, PJ went through, you know, getting shot, and I reached out to them, and you know, you could take it from there.
When PJ got shot, I actually felt as though it was important for him to bring the camera back out. Just the same way he helped us with William, you know, go through what he went through. PJ needed that same support. The whole idea of this did not start like out to be like this at all. Like this is mind blowing to us. I wish my daughter and PJ, my daughter PJ and my wife was still here. They were here last week, but they had to go, of course, school and you know other things. They had to get back there. But anyway, it all started out with just two guys becoming friends from a knock on the door, you know. And like I asked them to help me out with the other guys at the studio. They're sure, I'll take some pictures, you know, because when you're in our kind of neighborhood, any publicity is good publicity, you know. And they just wanted to feel like something, feel like part of something, and that's what he brought. He brought his camera, and it, like you said, it went from a small project and it got bigger and bigger. Then I noticed it was kind of like a therapy session for not only the guys in the studio, but for us in general in our home. And it still is a therapy session. We actually commend him for helping us with that. Dr. O.
Thank you. I'd love to open it up to the audience. Are there any questions?
Where can we hear PJ DJ?
Say again?
Where can we hear PJ DJ?
Well, actually, PJ, she actually wants to be full engineer type thing, so she's trying to get into a good college. She's searching right now. She has some stuff on Facebook. If you search EverQuest Recordings /Facebook, that's the hard, rough, uncut studio, uncensored, so be careful when you go in there and listen to stuff you might not want to hear. But if you scroll through the videos, you can always find PJ somewhere in there doing something, at the track board or rapping. She does rap now, you know, so maybe you might get to hear one of her songs.
Yeah, right in the front.
You had some really intense conversations in front of the camera that were happening in real time. How were you able to achieve that level of comfort to be able to have these deep personal opinions?
Well, to be honest with you, like I said before, Jonathan became a friend. The camera disappeared. You know, see, you gotta think about it. Just look at John, just look at the camera. When you look at the movie, just imagine his eyes. And just imagine him standing there as a good friend. You know, when I need somebody to talk to, like he was right there. The whole nine, like I said. So it was pretty easy for him to just be there to tell the story. At first, don't get me wrong, everybody was a little nervous. White guy knocking on your door with a camera. First thing you would think, all black neighborhood, you know, who you looking for? But, you know, like I said, once the friendship thing, you know, kind of surpassed, it was pretty easy.
Thank you. Other questions? Go ahead right there.
How's Will doing?
Great. William, that house you see him in, he moved out of that house, and now he lives in another house a block away from me. So I can really go on his nerves. He's doing great, his wife's doing great, Isaiah's doing great, he's in school, like you said, those last couple pictures, you see him going to school. You know, everybody's doing fine, you know, the community's getting back together as a whole.
Thank you. Right here. Go ahead.
Hi. Do you still live in the same house?
Exactly the same house, doing exactly the same thing every Freestyle Friday. Any of you guys happen to come in Philadelphia, look me up. You don't have to rap neither. We have a 66-year-old guy that doo-wops. He's tone deaf though, so he fits right in with the rappers.
Okay, go ahead right there.
So, John, how did you meet Christopher? Why knock on his door?
Yeah, well, so I wasn't alone when I knocked on the door. I was teaching a photography class just like 2 blocks away, and connected to another amazing kind of grassroots community called New Jerusalem Now. And one of my students was James, which happens to be Quest's older brother.
He's in the film too.
He's in the background here and there. And he just said, hey, my brother runs a studio out of his house. Would you want to come and, meet him? And I sort of was like, sure, let's go meet him. And, so that first thing was just walking up, knocking, and
Who knew would have turned out to be like this?
yeah. So it was that, and then, he invited me to the studio a little bit later, and we just really connected that first hangout.
Thank you. Right here? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Wow, that's a big question because I'm still in the music, he's still in the video, so maybe we might get together and do some collabs and because we really hang out, we're really cool. So who knows, the sky's the limit. If we can get those guys to be heard, maybe you guys might come to Philadelphia and come visit some of the artwork that we have there.
Yeah. And I was saying, with my opening remarks, it was a little melancholy when we first did, because I love the process of filming with these guys in their house and over time, but in a lot of ways, the film here, this is just the beginning, and we really want to put this film to work. And I think our producer Sabrina, she's been working really hard to kind of let's figure out how can we use this as a tool to impact the community. So.
Yeah, so we're planning a pretty robust and national engagement campaign. We want to take the film to communities like North Philadelphia around the country, and we actually want to stay in touch with folks that we meet here along the way. So if you're interested in learning more about that campaign, or if you're interested in just staying in touch with us and just hearing about what we're doing, where we're showing, or if you have any thoughts about bringing the film to you, I have this little thing. If you take your phone out, you can text the word QUEST, Q-U-E-S-T, to the number 31996. Yeah, 31996. You text that and then type in QUEST. It'll prompt you for your email address, and we promise not to share it. You can sort of opt out, but you won't want to opt out. You don't want to know what's happening. One more time? 31996 is the number, and you just text QUEST, and it'll ask you for your email. 31996. Yeah, so we're hoping to one of the things that I really liked about the film when John first approached me about working on it is that it's not necessarily about any particular sort of issue, but obviously it can amplify a lot of the issues that we are as a society are dealing with around the country, and it's a very intimate and sort of provocative and a personal way to talk about a range of subjects. So we really hope that we can really make a difference with this film in terms of a very personal, intimate way, and also in larger sort of policy ways even. So that's our ambition for the engagement campaign.
Thank you. Yeah, do you want to go at the end there?
Yeah, we have this political backdrop to the film, right? 3 elections, Hogan, you still ended up with. Did you, to follow up at this point, did you see any kind of community level changes from any of those political outcomes, or what are we talking about? 10 years?
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Is everything more or less the same as it was?
Well,
60 years?
technically speaking, the neighborhood really, it was I can't say it was the presidential elections that really damaged our neighborhoods. It was more or less their inner city politicians, because they closed down all the swimming pools, all the rec centers, all the libraries, all within years, just because so they wanted to put casinos in and things that just to make a profit out of people that just come to visit, and they kind of forgot about their inner city youth, purposely. So things have changed because more guys like me kind of got together and tried to make things happen. I opened up my studio. It's a guy named Glenn, his name Alfonso Glenn, he's in the picture. He's really a community supporter. We all get together and try to find the kids things to do, clean up on Saturdays, help around. We try to, all right, we can't have the government, we are going to become the government. If we can't have rec center, we're going to become the rec center. So, we don't have the public things for people, but if you ask around, you can always find places just like me. There's people just like me in our neighborhoods that's willing to help and willing to step forward.
Other questions?
I had a question about another sort of character in the film, and I wanted to know how much all the hair braiding is about fashion and how much it's about bonding.
Oh, that's a good question too. Actually, that's part of our culture, believe it or not. Of course, you should know, it's not new for everybody, but the hair braiding is a social thing also, because it's that bonding time when you sit down and talk. You can't go nowhere unless she's pulling your hair. You know, so, but you get a chance to communicate, and like you really start opening up when you start sitting there talking to somebody after a while, and the feelings come out, you know, and you'd be surprised. Actually, I just got my hair cut recently because, you know, my wife's, I don't want to say she's getting old, she might kill me. But, you know, she's getting up there in age, and her, you know, hands aren't able to do as much, so I took the burden off her, and like one less head to worry about right now.
Can I just add something about the question you asked about, you know, the politics and what Quest followed up with what he's doing in the community? I mean, hopefully what this film does, it disrupts a lot of assumptions folks make in terms of like what stories are worth being told and how people are living around the country. I mean, you have that scene with Donald Trump talking about like, oh, your like life is like hell on earth. Like you have like, please come to me, let me help you. And clearly, you know, these are not communities where people are sitting around just kind of like in this sort of, I don't know, you know, passive or you know, like we're just sitting around here waiting for someone to come save us. They're actually folks are actually very engaged in their communities and should have more support than they do, but you know, this is not the image of, this is not how folks are living, like that sort of image that you get from like, I mean, we know that the Donald Trumps of the world, but I think more of that story needs to be told because that's something that's said often. It's like, well, what about, you know, what are you doing in this community, whatever, but folks are engaged in their communities already. People, you know, do care about their schools and what, you know, what's available for like their community, young folks and stuff like that, and they step up when everything else fails them. And that's a story and a perspective that we don't hear often enough, I think.
I think we have time for just a couple more. Here you go.
Has your community activism helped reduce the level of violence on the street with children?
Yes, it has, believe it or not. Because the same people that shot PJ still come to my studio. And we just don't know who they are. No one has came forward and said it was me. But over time, they realized, you know, we don't blame or anybody make them feel guilty, but we still leave the doors open. And after a while, you start seeing your wrongs from when you see her still surviving, still walking around, still functioning, you know, making it happen for herself. And be honest with you, like a lot of the editing, like you missed a lot of stuff, but Lindsay had to put what she could put in such a short bit of time. And she's a great editor, and like, there's so much more to the story. Like, we might need a part 2/3. Yeah. But the whole idea is for like communities to come together because we don't get to see our kids every day. My wife said it, you know, I'm happy to be home because I'm trying to make something happen at home for the community. And some people go away and never see their children for years. Yeah. You know, and you know, they think that I can hand them a check and everything's going to be okay, or a couple dollars, and it's not that. You know, somebody needs a hug. Somebody needs some love.
I'm sorry, I wanted to add, like, I didn't expect to like talk this much, but I just wanted to add that, you know, to that question about like, have you been able to see a difference in you know, reduction of violence or whatever? This is one of the things that I hope that we can do with the engagement campaign, because one of the things that people don't understand is that there's local activity, like, you know, you know, folks in the neighborhood that act as sort of interrupters and work in conflict resolution and are extremely successful, but they get absolutely no funding. Even after the sort of like gun violence summit after Sandy Hook, there were folks that were trying to advocate for that, saying that these actually make a difference in these communities, but at the end of the day, those are not the programs that got any money. But what they did get more money is like more police in schools. You know, so no one is talking to folks like Chris about what they think they need to make a difference in their communities, and that's what we hope to shift with our campaign and with this film.
Yeah, final question? Go ahead.
My mother. Like, you know, my father wasn't really in the picture, you know, due to circumstances of, you know, love life, but she taught us not to depend on anyone for, you know, just to be yourself. Like, just learn how to grow, learn how to share. Because my mom was like the neighborhood mom, just like my wife is, you know, open up the door, she gives somebody an apple, give me an apple, and I'm like, Mom, that's not my brother. And she's like, well, you know, that's your brother to me, you know, but you know, he doesn't have a dad, but you're playing with him, so let him come hang out with you, you know. So we all learned how to kind of like, we learned from our mom, you know, just how to deal with situations and things like that. And yes, it was an anger time, but the anger was more or less, why is this happening? Not revenge. It never was a thing about revenge. It was just more or less, we need to find a way to make this not happen again.
I want to thank you all so much for being here. That's all we have on the after today.